Who are the top 5 running backs in Dynasty right now? All that and more on today's Locked On Dynasty.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Here are your hosts, Matt Williamson and Ryan McDowell.
Thanks for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Welcome to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan McDowell. You can follow me on Twitter at RyanMC23. Joining me, as always, is Matt Williamson. Find Matt on Twitter at WilliamsonNFL. Matt, how's it going today?
Things are good. As we talked about yesterday, a lot of injuries, a lot of unrest in the league, obviously, a lot of parity, 3 really good teams, and then a lot of questions after that. And it doesn't make our jobs any easier here. This will be a tough exercise, by the way.
Yeah, it will. 3 really good teams, Eagles, Bills, and Chiefs. Is that who we're talking about?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah, I'm with you on those 3. Certainly feel like a gap, especially in the NFC. We kind of talked about that a little bit yesterday with the Niners. Maybe they can close that gap. Matt, it is Wednesday. We're talking Dynasty player value today, and we've had so much change, the injuries, some breakouts, some slow starts over these first 7 weeks. We do this occasionally where we just try to reset things and get a grasp on who are the current top 5 Dynasty players at each position. I don't think we have to talk about quarterback. We maybe some slight shuffling, but you're still talking about the same names at quarterback and at tight end. We're really going to focus on the running back position today. Hopefully we'll talk a little wide receiver as well, but I think running back is really where we've seen some changes. We talked about the injury to Breece Hall yesterday. Prior to that injury, he was being viewed by most as the Dynasty RB1. He had pushed Jonathan Taylor down. I don't think that can continue to be the case with this injury, missing the rest of his rookie season. And, we'll see how the recovery goes. But the recovery for J.K. Dobbins, I think, has put a lot of concern into Dynasty managers that, you tear an ACL and you can't just assume it's going to be a clean reset the next season. Hopefully that's the case for Breece Hall, but and Javonte Williams as well. But, again, we can't assume that's going to happen. So let's try to narrow this down. Who are the top 5 Dynasty running backs right now? Let's start at the top here. I've got a list of nearly 20 players.
There's a lot here to pick from. None of them are super exciting.
Is it as simple as saying Jonathan Taylor has been the RB1 for a year prior to this Breece Hall explosion? Breece Hall's out for the year. We're moving JT back to the top line. Is it that simple?
Probably, but as we spoke about yesterday, I mean, they have a quarterback change that I can't see going well. I don't think Sam Ehlinger is going to just elevate this offense into where you want it to be. You saw Taylor go head-to-head against Henry. One guy gets the ball a lot, and the guy we're talking about didn't. Honestly, I think it's a 3-horse race for number 1 right now.
Really? Okay. Taylor being one of those. I would love to hear the others. DeAndre Swift?
Taylor Swift, yeah. But we haven't seen him for a month, and do we really trust his overall durability? I mean, I think that's something to question. This might shock people. I'm jumping all in on Walker, on Kenneth Walker.
Okay.
I think he's really spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely needs to be discussed here pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm ready to put him at the top line. We have gotten ahead of ourselves a little bit. I don't even want to call moving Breece Hall up a mistake because, barring that injury, I mean, before he suffered that injury, he had a 60-something yard touchdown. So, I mean, he was playing at a very high level, obviously age on his side, an offense that you feel pretty good about moving forward, at least one that's going to build around him. So I don't know that was a mistake, but definitely got aggressive with some of the receivers, moving them up maybe too fast.
Running backs, you have to, though. I mean, it's just
the shelf life.
Right.
I think we have to put Jonathan Taylor.
That would be my vote as well. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get that one out of the way. We've got Taylor at the top here. Before we try to figure out who is RB2, and it could be Swift, it could be Barkley, it could be Walker. Could it be Christian McCaffrey?
Thought about that. I do think we please listen to yesterday's show. We kind of broke down how he fits. And I think they look at him and their investment implies that he's going to be not a short-term fix. I mean, he's going to be a 49er for at least the rest of this year and probably 2 others. I would consider it because I do think the wear and tear on his body will be a little less in San Francisco because I think the Mitchells of the world will still factor in. He'd be my top 5 for sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a big statement. What about Breece Hall? Is he still a top 5 dynasty running back, knowing you're getting nothing the rest of this season? The return, we just don't know at this point. We don't know anything.
Right.
The presumed schedule says probably back for week 1, but again, we've seen some running backs, especially who have slowed down that. Even Travis Etienne, who I guess he had the foot injury, so a little bit different, but he had a slow start and starting to pick up now.
I don't think Hall would be in my top 5. I could understand if you disagree. I almost feel like if I was Javonte Williams' lawyer, I'd be saying, well, if you're going to put Hall in the top 5, why don't you put my guy?
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Who do you prefer right now?
Between those two?
Yeah.
Yeah. Breece Hall still.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Younger. It sounds like his injury was a little cleaner, where
bad,
Williams had some multiple ligament injuries. Well, Breece Hall is not our RB2. So let's get back to trying to determine who that is. Jonathan Taylor is one. A name I don't know if we've said yet. Saquon Barkley. Is he in the conversation for RB2?
I'm torn between, I'm not saying they should be the number 2. Barkley versus McCaffrey in Dynasty to me is almost a tie. And that could be 2, that could be 5. I mean, we could sort that out. But who do you prefer of those 2?
I prefer Barkley to McCaffrey.
Okay.
But I'm with you that it's very close. And I think those might.
You thinking they're going to be 2 and 3 for you?
I think they might be. I'm worried about the Swift injury deal because it's every year. It's every year something. And even in week 7,
player,
right. Week 7, we thought he was going to play, and that was a little bit of a surprise. Saturday night, Sunday morning news.
Well, I guess I can pull back the curtain. I would have Walker ahead of Swift.
Okay.
And I might have Walker too.
So concerns about being a pass catcher wiped out for you? Not a concern?
Enough. Right. I mean, and the Penny thing I don't think is a long-term problem. I think that team's trending in the right direction. That coach loves to run the ball. He's passing the eyeball test. He has enough receiving, I would say, because he's also a big play guy. I mean, the long runs he's breaking off are at a remarkable rate.
I mean, is Kenneth Walker just a younger Nick Chubb?
Yeah. Maybe catches more passes. I don't want to say a better receiver, but he probably catches more passes.
But I don't know if we've ever.
But that's not a ringing endorsement for fantasy because he's not
right.
even considered.
Have we ever valued Nick Chubb as the top 3 dynasty running back, despite the quality of runner he is in the league?
Nope.
Maybe he had more competition. He
right.
was kind of in that.
A little lean.
He was
right
in the
now.
Mixon, Cook, Kamara.
Good point.
Heyday, Fournette in there as well.
Yeah, McCaffrey was worth more than. Barkley was worth more than.
All right, let's take a break and we'll figure out who the RB2 is.
Guys, I've told you about LinkedIn Jobs a lot. They're a great friend of the entire Locked On Podcast Network. These days, every potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. I mean, they'll help you find the right people for your team faster and for free. I have an odd profession, as you probably know, but I have a lot of buddies that have used it and have been thrilled, whether they're hiring or trying to get hired. And, there's simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates who have the exact right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize and narrow down who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one at delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So I think I mentioned Bird Dogs to you guys one other time because they're new to the network and we're thrilled to have them, to be honest with you. They sent me a pair of sweats, and it's just starting to get chilly here in Pittsburgh. And I've been wearing them a ton. They're super comfortable. I work out in them. I wear them to the radio station. I go grocery shopping in them, whatever. I mean, they're very versatile, comfortable. They fit me really, really well. They're perfect for golfers in the world. I got a buddy that has a pair, and he's like, I wear them all the time golfing. I'm not a golfer, but hey, I get it. They also have joggers that are higher quality than Lululemon, and they're $20 less. So go buy some Bird Dogs. I mean, again, it doesn't matter if it's Florida and 100 degrees, or if it's 10 degrees in New England, or New York or Pittsburgh or whatever. They have signature shorts with built-in liners that are super comfortable as well. So they have something for everyone. Here's what we need you to do, though. Go to birddogs.com, enter promo code LOCKEDON, and they'll throw a free Bird Dogs rope hat in. I mean, you're going to buy these stuff anyways. You might as well get the free hat. That's birddogs.com, promo code LOCKEDON, and boom, a free Bird Dogs rope hat with your pair of Bird Dogs. The most comfortable shorts, pants, and sweatpants with built-in liners. You will not take these things off. I promise you that.
Matt, you've got Christian McCaffrey on your dynasty team.
Mm-hmm.
He's just traded to the 49ers. Feels like a really good landing spot. And somebody offers you Kenneth Walker for Christian McCaffrey. You are a contender. What are you doing?
I'm accepting it.
I think I am as well. Let's put Kenneth Walker as our dynasty RB2.
Hope he doesn't get hurt next week too.
I didn't mean to change.
Right.
You had to put it out there.
Is this Barkley McCaffrey land?
This is. It's Barkley and McCaffrey for me. Is it the other way around for you?
No. I think they're honestly a tie. I think Barkley's going to get more touches, and so I think I'm very comfortable with that.
All right, so we're here. We're down to running back 5. We've almost done it. Reached our goal of identifying the top 5 dynasty running backs.
I would vote Swift. Is there any thought to ATN or Pierce or Jacobs, the way he's playing? I mean, guys that we don't really consider in this neighborhood. I think I'd still vote Swift over that.
I mean, Josh Jacobs is just 24 years old.
And he's phenomenal.
He's the same age. He's the same age as Najee Harris.
Right. That's amazing.
Now, I mean, we're talking about some months separating. I think Jacobs is probably almost 25. Najee.
Mm-hmm. Wonder if they're the same recruiting class at Bama. Holy smokes.
Ugh.
I think there's a case. I mean, especially
Eckler.
If you're running wing now. Right.
What about Austin Eckler?
Too.
Well, if you look at the old guys, right? And I wish I was old, like 26 or 27.
Right.
Still,
well,
if you look at the old guys of Eckler, Chubb, Mixon, Cook, Kamara, Henry.
Are we calling Jacobs an old guy?
And no, I don't think so.
No. Eckler's my favorite old guy then.
Okay. And mine as well. So he pushes everybody else off the list.
Yeah. We can get rid of some names then.
We're not doing Javonte Williams or Breece Hall.
Agreed. So does that leave Swift, Eckler, Jacobs?
I'm not ready to go there with Josh Jacobs.
So
I think it's Swift or Eckler. Yeah, I think it's Swift or Eckler.
I'll take Eckler.
I think I will take Eckler as well. I really think this, and we've talked about it a little bit as far as the way to value running backs versus receivers and the injuries and the short career, short lifespan, short playing career of these running backs. We really need to value them in the moment, and we've kind of hinted on this around multiple episodes. Play the running back position in Dynasty almost from a redraft perspective. That might even be going too far, right? It's almost a DFS perspective as who do I need? Who's going to do it this week? Is it Deion Jackson playing, in JT's place? Great. Put him in there. Is it Jeff Wilson taking over in San Francisco? Put him in there. Is it Gus Edwards or Kenyon Drake? Right. And it's easier said than done because you can't always just grab those guys off the waiver wire. But
right.
If you're constantly churning, right. If you're constantly churning that roster and you are staying active on the waiver wire and with the news, you're going to have those types of guys on your roster. And if the Swift news comes out or, even worse news, such as Breece Hall or Javonte Williams,
right.
You're as ready as you can be for those types of things.
So I think Eckler's the call at 5 because if I trust me, I own Swift in my favorite redraft league. If I called the Eckler owner and said, "Hey, you want to swap him out?" He'd laugh me out off the reservation.
Yeah, and I still love Swift, but
yeah,
it's not. This is not the first time we've dealt with these injuries and missing a few games here and there, and honestly, even when he's healthy,
it's not McCaffrey production.
No, he's a committee guy.
Right.
Jamal Williams is solid, and they've not shown any inclination to make him any type of bell cow running back. Jamal Williams is getting touches in that offense.
Yeah. I think you're 100% right.
All right, here's where we stand. Top 5 dynasty running backs after 7 weeks. Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley, and then a couple of old guys like Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. I feel pretty good about it.
I do too.
If we did this again next week, it could be totally different. That's kind of how things are going this season when it comes to the running backs.
Absolutely.
Matt, when we come back, we're going to try a fast-forwarded version of the same exercise with wide receivers.
Prize Picks is one of my new favorites, guys. I've told you this a bunch. It takes so little time to get an entry in. I win more than I lose, which is all you could ever ask for in situations like this. And what I love about it is you're not playing against a bunch of random people you don't know anything about. It's just you versus, the Prize Pick projections. And what you do is you pick between 2 and 5 players. And if they go score more or less than their Prize projection, you win or lose. And you can win up to 10 times any year entry, the money that you put in. No competing against other people, as you mentioned. It's just you versus the projections. And if NFL's not your bag, it probably is if you're listening to us, or if you have other interests like golf or college football, of course, all the major sports, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports. Maybe you're a disc golf expert. If you are, you're going to clean up on Prize Picks. Entries are made in 60 seconds or less. Safe and fast withdrawals. I take money in and out almost on a daily basis. Currently operational in over 30 states as well as in Canada. So this is what you have to do. Download the Prize Pick app. I use the app, or go to prizepick.com and sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match. That's up to $100. You got to use our promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, Prize Picks gives you $100. If you deposit $20, Prize Picks gives you $20. So don't forget to enter that promo code to make that happen. That's Locked On, and sign up for that instant deposit match up to $100.
Thanks for making Locked On Dynasty your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcast. All right, Matt, it was painful, but we narrowed down the top 5 Dynasty running backs. Let's do the same thing with wide receivers, and it starts a little easier here. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. If you want to flip those two, go for it. 1 and 2 are easy.
Yeah, I prefer Chase, but I certainly would not stand on the table either way. I just think Burrow's really picking it up, and I like the direction the Bengals are going right now.
Wide receiver 3 in Dynasty. Some options here are Cooper Kupp, who continues to produce at a high level, despite a struggling Rams offense, despite being older than most of our favorite Dynasty wide receivers. AJ Brown is an option here. We've seen him ranked and valued as the wide receiver 3 recently. Got off to a nice start with the Eagles, slowed down the last couple weeks heading into their bye this past week, but certainly a ton of talent there. CeeDee Lamb was the wide receiver 3 in our Dynasty ADP for much of the offseason, really much of the past year. I don't know that many would consider ranking him that highly right now. And then you've got some other guys that kind of fit in there. T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, Waddle, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf. Who's your wide receiver 3? Make an argument for one of these guys.
I think it's AJ Brown. I know he's not tearing it up. I'm a big fan of his game. I'm not sure people realize this, but he's had 7 or more targets every game that he's been a Philadelphia Eagle. So they use him out of the slot. They use him out wide. I think he's my 3 without a lot of fight, to be honest. I think he kind of stands alone there.
Okay. Well, you're not going to get much fight. He's my wide receiver 3 as well.
Okay.
I do think, and this probably goes without saying, the gap from 2 to 3 is massive.
Massive. Yeah, it is. Those two are elite. I don't use that word very often.
Wide receiver 4, we talked about with the running back discussion, we've got to value guys like McCaffrey and Eckler who are getting it done right now, much higher than the upside, the promise of youth and talent and high draft capital. It's not necessarily the same at wide receiver because these guys are going to have a longer career. I think we can, I don't know, that may end up pushing, as good as they are, Kupp, Adams, Tyreek down the list a little. Is this kind of where they show up for you, or are you still going with a young guy?
This is where it gets difficult for me. I mean, Tyreek's having a ridiculously good season. Kupp's not dropping off at all. He was just on bye, so you don't quite remember him, but that's not fair to him at all. I keep expecting Lamb to just kind of grab this spot, and it hasn't quite worked out. Maybe another week with Dak will look a little better, but I'm probably still leaning that way.
I know our buddy Curtis Patrick, who's been on the show a ton over the years. I saw him mention this on Twitter last week, just questioning, is CeeDee Lamb ever going to show that he's really an elite wide receiver? And I think there's a lot of people wondering the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that he's had so much opportunity and it's kind of running out of excuses now. I think he still gets my vote, but if you feel strong a different way, I'm not going to present much problems for you. Would you go for an old guy and win now?
I mean, for me, it's either Kupp or my favorite young guy left. It's not CeeDee Lamb. It's Jalen Waddle.
Is it Waddle? Yeah.
So for me, it's Kupp or Waddle. And we said the old guys of Kupp, Adams, and Tyreek. We didn't even mention Stephon Diggs, who has been as good as any of those guys as well. We've talked about it before. Those 4 almost fit into their own tier, a bubble separate from everyone else. But when you're doing this exercise, you've got to kind of parse out all the pieces here. And
my hunch is, even if you're a contender and I offered you Waddle for Kupp, I think you'd say yes.
I think I probably would too. We're talking about 8 years difference in age. I think I'm going. I would say Waddle at 4, Kupp at 5.
Agreed.
Okay.
I'm a little down on Lamb. It hurts me a little to put him not in the top 5, but what you said about Curtis is dead on. I mean, there's a lot of evidence saying he's not going to be elite.
Yeah. All right. Well, we did it. We did think wide receivers would be a little easier, and they were. Jefferson and Chase 1 and 2 in whatever order you prefer. AJ Brown at 3, Jalen Waddle at 4, and then Cooper Kupp begins the group of old guys there at 5. Feels crazy still to list him at 5, but that's where we are for now.
Mm-hmm.
That is it for today's show. Please make sure you download and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to the Locked On Dynasty channel on YouTube. Remember to follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Dynasty. Follow Matt at Williamson NFL, and I'm Ryan MC23. We'll be back next time with more Locked On Dynasty.